Just want to make a little video here. I have a 2005 Dodge Ram. This is the driver's power seat mechanism. And there's one motor there. There's two. And I have this one out here, which I just fixed. But I need to fix this one as well. The one that's out and this one is the up and down motion of the seat. This one here is for the forward and back, which works fine. I'll show you how to remove this and to fix it so that it works again with the original motor. We're going to move this pin right here from the actuator itself of this motor. You just need a hammer and a punch and drive it out. And there it is. Next, we'll have to drive out. There's a roll pin right here, and the roll pin is too long and it will hit the rails, so the roll pin has to go that way. I'll show you how to remove that. Take a pair of vice grips, you attach it on the roll pin fairly tight. You use a screwdriver, leave just enough room to let a screwdriver get between the bracket and the vice grip. Sometimes it takes a lot to get force on that roll pin to get it to move that direction. So make sure this is tight. I just wedged it there with the vice grips. Now I'll get on the end of it and pull it the rest of the way out. Sometimes you can use a pry bar as well to get it started. Once it starts moving, it will be a lot easier to come out. Once you get out too far, just reset your vice grip down a little deeper to get another bite at it with your screwdriver. And you're just putting your screwdriver in there and just kind of prying that against that bracket against the vice grip that's holding that roll pin. And it does come out hard. And there's your roll pin. Next, just remove the remove the motor. You may have to move the mechanism to get the motor out. Easily done just by just like that. Put a crescent wrench on that and just pull it over a little bit. And there you go. Now now this motor is out. I'll go on now to remove. You'll have to remove these. There's some tabs here. There's one here, and there's one here. There's one there, and there's the one there. And from the factory, they bent these tabs over. Underneath this is the magnets for the DC motor. So you have to take this apart, get a little bar or device behind there and bend those tabs off. They do come off pretty hard, but it can be done. I have the motor in the vise, in a bench vise, just regular bench vise. And when you put the motor in here, just, you know, don't over tighten the vise. You don't have to clamp down that's really tight. If you do, you'll break it. There's magnets in there. You don't want to break the magnets or get them loose from the case, because you'll need that for the motor to run. And I'm going to remove these, make these tabs here, bend them back so I can take the motor apart itself. I have just a little tool here. It's pretty strong. Once I get it so far, I just use a small pair of vice grips. I just put a small set of vice grips on that tab, and just open those tabs up. It's hard to get a picture here. Bend that one out back as well. And then this just simply lifts off. There's a little washer here on the cap. Be sure not to lose that. Next, your motor's in here. It's not going to go anywhere. We're gonna flip this over and pull the tabs on. Open the tabs on the other side here when I come back. Okay, so again, I use my tool here to get up in on the back side of this. And pry that tab open. Looks like it come open. I need to get this back side. Okay, I did get the tabs bent. They were difficult. This one you cannot get a vice grip onto, so you have to make do. If you just get it bent out a little bit, on this side, get a vice grip on it and bend that tab open, and that'll give you enough room to get this case off this motor. If you just bend this one out and this one a little bit, it will give you just enough room here. Okay, there's the inside, there's the brushes, and there's our troubled spot. Okay, so we can just leave this here for now. Inside of here, this plate where the screwdriver is going to point to, this plate here is some kind of maybe a thermistor or some sort of a breaker, but the continuity between the two plates is where the loss is in the current to the motor, which does not allow the current to the motor to run properly. So we will have to remove this contact and as well as this one. I don't know what this little device is down here in the middle. It's probably regulating current use between the two poles, but we are going to remove that because that is the issue. And by the way, I would recommend fusing the incoming on the connector itself, on the wire from the seat. I'd recommend putting a fuse in there, because if you bottom the seat out, yes, it's going to get hot. It'll probably take out the fuse in the dash, but don't plan on that happening. Just as a precaution, be sure to put a fuse in line with one side of the two wires here. So you only need it on one side because obviously the current's got to flow through the second wire. So fuse one link of it, just add a link. I will use a pair of needle nose pliers. And I am going to just pull these brushes out. Be careful not to damage them. And I'm going to take this lead. I'm going to pull it out with a pair of pliers. It actually goes out this way. So it'll go out this way and then out. So back and then out. Okay. There, I finally got it out. It was difficult. Took quite a bit of force to get it out. When you get that out, this little square block will come out of it. I assume this is part of the thermistor apparatus. Like I said, be sure to fuse your seat wire. Next, I'm going to pull this one out. This is your problem child. It's right here. You need to pull back on the contact right here, and it'll pull out. So here's the contact. This is our problem. Between these two plates, there's just not enough continuity. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put a rivet in them to hold them together and get the continuity we need to make the motor run. whatever that sandwich between those two pieces there is not allowing the continuity that we need to run the motor. Okay, here we have just a 1/8 inch rivet. I don't know, might be 3/16 long. It'll be a little bit long for this project. We'll fix that too. So drill a hole into this piece here, and then we'll install the rivet. So there's the hole. Now we're just going to set that rivet in there. I suggest a rivet because there's not a lot of room inside the housing. And we will rivet together. Now on the back side, on this rivet, it's a little tall. It's not going to fit in the housing. So there. There's your part. There's your fix, and there's your problem. Next, we will reinstall these pieces back inside of the housing. You will not put this back. This one goes here. The short one, it has to go in and then down, okay? Okay, I have both of the connectors placed back into the housing. As you can see, be sure to install your brushes correctly. Should be to gap up. There are the brushes installed. Next we will install the rotor, and I'll show you how to do that. There are the brushes installed. Next we will install the rotor, and I'll show you how to do that. Next I'm going to show you how to install the rotor back into the brushes. Be sure that you have your drive shaft that drives the in-worn gear and the transmission. Make sure you have that in there and lined up. Turn it a little bit and line that up. And then put just a little bit of force with your thumb on the motor to push in just a little bit. And take a small screwdriver and push the brushes back. There. And then the motor, until the motor sets down in the brushes. Okay. Next we will take the housing itself and set that on. Now this has a magnet, so it will pull the motor out of the brushes if you're not careful. To do this, you simply put your finger through the magnet and hold the motor down as you install the case over the rotor. If you don't, it will pop up. Also, be sure that the case is installed properly. There is a right and a wrong. The right way is the magnets here are flush with the rotor itself, okay? The other way it will not be. That's how you'll know. Once it's installed, put your cap on. Don't lose your washer if you have one. It's a thrust washer. I assume you'll probably have one. Put that on the shaft. Install the end cap. Push it together. And I'll show you how to bend. Actually, before we go that far, we're going to run the motor the way it sits without bending those tabs in case we got to go back in for some reason. I just have a couple test leads and a battery sitting here, so I'm just going to attach the test leads, and I'm going to hold the motor together and be sure that it spins freely before I cinch the case down. There you go. Went from a motor that did not work to now have one that works. Okay? Moves freely. Next I'll show you how to set the case. Tabs back down. I use welding pliers, or C-clamp vice grips is what they are. I use them for welding for the most part. Lay it down on the side. You don't have to put a bunch of clamping pressure on there. Just a nice firm grip is all you need. Otherwise you'll break the end cap. Just something to hold it together. And then use a hammer and a punch. Use a hammer and punch and just pin the tabs back down. Flip it over and do the same for the other two. Keep your vice grip, keep your clamps on there. Sorry if you can't see that. There. Tabs are bent back down as they should be, and I have a working motor. And like I said, I'll say it once more, be sure to fuse one of the two wires coming out of here. Be fused. One side is all you need to fuse. Be sure to fuse those wires. Okay, now we're going to install the motor back into the frame, the seat frame itself. The most important thing is to be sure that your roll pin holes line up first. Those. Drive that pin just a little bit through the bracket, okay? You can see it's not through all the way. Then you can set the motor over onto that roll pin a little bit, and you know that that'll be all lined up when you're driving that pin in. And that pin is now in. And then we will have to put in this pin. It's just driven in as well. If the pin don't line up right, you might have to screw this outer piece off of the worm gear. Otherwise it'll hit the bracket. It helps, gives you more room to get that lined up. And there's your pin lined up and in. So this other motor, I did it first, and I figured I had to make a video for this because I know this is a very common problem throughout a lot of Dodges. So I'll end up putting this one back in as well. But this motor goes in just like this one. There's no difference. Same thing with the internals. It's the same internals as well. So that is my video, and I hope that helps you out. I know I'm very frustrated that my power seat didn't work, so I dedicated my day today to make sure that I get a power seat back. And like I said, I hope it helps everybody else. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.